Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, gender non-conforming people of all ages and persuasions, to the season premiere of Some Other Nights Main Events. I'm Vance J. McMahon, and joining me in the broadcast booth tonight, as always, the one, the only, Jesse, the Brain Mullet Venison.
Well, McMahon, it sure was mighty nice of you to invite me back, seeing as how you tried to fire me the last time we were here. But obviously, you're not quite as dumb as you look, since it's clear to you that you can't do this on your own, and I'm the best thing you've got. But let's forget about that for a minute. I gotta say, I'm really looking forward to tonight's match. It's not every day that we get to see an elderly folk rocker pick a fight with a roided up pothead with a podcast, and that's exactly what we have here tonight, with Neil Young squaring off against Joe Rogan.
That's right, and for the viewers watching at home who might not be familiar, this all started when a group of 270 doctors and scientists signed an open letter to Spotify to take action against Rogan for spreading dangerous misinformation on his podcast and encouraging his audience not to get vaccinated because, and I quote, vaccines are stupid and don't work, and that, quote, horse tranquilizers are the safer choice in the fight against COVID.
Well, I'll tell you, McMahon, it's pretty gutsy for these people to call out Rogan for false information while simultaneously citing that these 270 pencil neck geeks are, quote, doctors and scientists. See, unlike you, I actually take the time to do my research, and it turns out that of these 270 experts, only 82 of them are actual medical doctors, and the rest of the list includes everything from social workers to podcast hosts. And hey, if that makes the cut in qualifying as an expert, then Joe has the biggest podcast in the world, so I guess that makes him as qualified as anyone.
Well, you can add legendary rock icon to that list of experts, because Neil Young has had enough of Rogan's lies and dangerous antics, and he is aiming to shut his big mouth here tonight, once and for all. And he's putting his money where his mouth is, because the stipulation here is that the loser of the match must be removed from Spotify's platform. But before we get down to ringside, Jesse, we need to get into the tail of the tape and see what each of these combatants are bringing to the table.
Well, McMahon, we've definitely seen our share of mismatches here on Wrasslin World Wrestling, and tonight is no exception. Joe Rogan is a lifelong practitioner of the martial arts and holds black belts in both Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Taekwondo. He's trained alongside the best in the world and keeps himself in shape by routinely hitting the bags, killing woodland critters, and consuming massive amounts of HGH and psychedelic mushrooms. The only fighting Neil Young has ever done in his life is when he's fighting to hit a note with his voice or on a guitar, and let's be honest, he's lost most of those fights. And that's when Neil Young was actually young. Neil Old doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell at singing or punching his way out of this one, and I see him going out like the dusty old fart in the wind that he is.
And with that, let's turn our attention to ringside, as the dusty old fart himself, Neil Young, gets set to walk his way down the aisle.
You know, McMahon, I gotta question just what the hell Neil thinks he's gonna be able to accomplish in there. Let's face reality here for a minute. Never mind that Joe is the younger and faster of the two, never mind that he can actually fight, but the sheer numbers he brings to Spotify alone makes this a no-brainer. Neil Young is as good as gone.
Oh, and I'm sure he'll be sad to miss out on that $12 a month that Spotify was paying him for his catalog, too. Look, we've got to look at it this way. Neil Young is sacrificing himself in hopes that other, younger, more prominent artists will follow suit and dogpile Rogan straight into podcast oblivion. I say he's being brave and standing up for the safety and betterment of the common man.
Well, he has always identified himself as a champion for the common man, but apparently he feels that the common man is too stupid to handle varying opinions on a podcast. I mean, he's probably right, because most people are stupid, but still.
Will you stop? Have you ever listened to the man's music? He wants a free world to keep rocking in. He wants the common man to be free.
Yeah, he loves freedom so much that he doesn't want people to have free speech, because then they might be free to form their own opinions. He's a real hero.
That's right, and we see him heroically knock Joe to the canvas using the one advantage he has, his old man fatness.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see just how effective that extra layer of flab is in cushioning the kicks from Rogan.
Hey, wait a second, what's this? It's Joni Mitchell! Joni Mitchell is coming down to ringside, surely to show her support and give some assistance to her boyfriend, Neil Young.
Well, great. Instead of one washed-up hippie hack of an overrated musician. We get to watch Joe Rogan beat up two of them.
And Rogan holding nothing back as he mercilessly attacks the leg of Joni Mitchell and then proceeds to toss her around like a wet bag of shit.
Let's just be honest for a second, McMahon. It's going to take somebody a lot more relevant than some old hippie to come out and help Neil Young if he wants to put a stop to Joe Rogan. It's going to take someone like, I don't know, Taylor Swift or Adele or both, and then maybe they have a chance at putting Rogan away.
Well, you may be right, Jesse, as it does seem that Joni Mitchell has certainly had enough for one evening, but you do give me a fantastic idea for our next match.
Well, I'm sure Rogan can handle himself against about 2 or 3 of just about any of these clowns that you could throw in front of him. But I'm sure if you get enough of them in the ring all at the same time, it could be curtains for Joe.
Well, it's not going to be tonight because Joe Rogan has just nearly blasted Neil Young straight out of his tattered and old flannels and will remain on Spotify, at least for the time being, until we decide to convince a bunch of other ideologues to hurl themselves at him. Until then, I am Matt J. McMahon. This has been Jesse, the Brain Mullet Venison. Good night, everybody!